Let's talk a little bit about what families go through. I want to look at some of the ideas that are by Joanne Lynn, MD. When we think about the way we define what it means to be a family, one of the things that we think about is the progression of a married couple. When a married couple first goes on their honeymoon and begins to have their life together, they discover they're a family. They're working out their relationship and they're having this honeymoon experience. But they really decide that they're finding out what it means to be a family when that baby is born. When the child is brought into the situation with them, it really begins to define for them what it means to be a family, because they now are participating together in raising this child. And they've got to work things together and decide how things are going to take place in this raising of a child. And it really does define what it means to be a family. I was talking to a couple not that long ago who, when they got married, they each had a couple kids already. And so when they got married, there was a little bit of conflict at first, because it was always her kids and then his kids. But really began to define for them what it meant to be a family is when they had their own child together. This child now was all of a sudden their child or was their kid, and so it was no longer hers or his, but it was theirs. And so her kids became their kids and his became their kids. And so this process began to really define what it meant to be a family as they worked together to raise children. Sickness and illness and death, it can be like this birth of a child. It really will begin to define what it means to be a family. And so some families during this period, they'll grow closer together, but some will grow bitter. They'll grow bitter towards the situation and bitter with each other. Some will just endure and get through it. Some families will take this opportunity that they have together just to go back and look at all and revisit all of those old memories. Well, one thing for certain though is everyone changes as we experience a serious illness and a death of someone that has meant so much to our family. Most families feel as if their loved one had become sick all of a sudden, even if they, after they think it over, realize that their family member has actually been sick for several months. Oftentimes, it's some event that sort of makes everyone realize just how sick they are. Sometimes it's an emergency trip to the hospital, but sometimes it's just a recognition of just how weak they are and unable to do some of the essential things around the house. Sometimes it's a blunt statement that a nurse or a doctor had made. But few people are really ever prepared for a family member's last illness. And so a lot of times changes need to be made pretty quick. Some of the necessary accommodations are going to be structural. How do we add a bathroom or a bedroom at the entry level of the house, or how do we change a tub enclosure to a shower? Some changes aim to enable a family member to provide care. Sometimes they have to leave a job or move in with the ill family member. But most changes that enable family caregivers also require some kind of an emotional adjustment. Like, my mom is no longer going to be around, or my dad's never going to be the same again. And so the stress and the disruption in their life require some thoughtfulness and some compassion for one another. Unevitably, someone is going to say something harsh or selfish, and it can drive family members apart forever unless forgiveness is given.